The cold wind howled through the abandoned factory, its rusted beams creaking like old bones. Mira crouched low, her fingertips brushing over the remnants of a world long forgotten. She was an urban explorer, an adventurer who thrived on the thrill of uncovering secrets hidden in the shadows. But what she found today was unlike anything she had ever encountered. Nestled among crumbling bricks and shattered glass, a shimmering orb pulsed with a light that seemed to breathe. It called to her with a siren song that tugged at her very essence. As she reached out, the world around her faded, leaving only the orb's luminescence. The moment her fingers made contact, a surge of energy coursed through her, igniting every nerve ending. A voice whispered in her mind, an alien language that wrapped around her thoughts like tendrils of smoke. She gasped, pulling her hand back, but it was too late. The transformation began, her skin glimmering with iridescent colors that shifted like a kaleidoscope. Panic surged within her as she caught a glimpse of her reflection in a broken mirror. Her once familiar face was becoming something otherworldly. Mira had 24 hours to reverse this metamorphosis, or she would lose her humanity forever. The stakes were high, and the pressure mounted as time slipped through her fingers like sand. She thought back to the dusty tomes she had read about ancient artifacts, the warnings of the consequences that came with them. She needed to find a way to dispel the orb's influence, to drain the energy that was transforming her into something unrecognizable. The first attempt was reckless. She returned to the orb, determined to challenge its power. As she approached, she felt the pull intensify, each heartbeat sensing with the orb's pulse. She closed her eyes, focusing on her own energy, willing it to overpower the alien light. The orb flared brightly, and she felt a jolt of pain shoot through her body, knocking her to the ground. Breathless and frightened, she realized that direct confrontation only strengthened its hold. Determined to understand rather than fight, Mira scoured the factory for clues. She found old blueprints and notes left behind by previous explorers, detailing the orb's origins. It had been an artifact of an ancient civilization, a tool meant to enhance the bearer's capabilities, but at a cost. Each note was a fragment of knowledge, piecing together the lore of the orb and the nature of its power. It was not just a transformation, it was a fusion of identities that would erase her human essence entirely. As the hours dwindled, she concocted a plan to create a barrier using materials from the factory. With trembling hands, she gathered shards of metal and remnants of machinery, fashioning a makeshift device designed to disrupt the orb's energy. Mira could feel the changes deep within her. Her thoughts were shifting, her emotions dulled. Each moment spent away from the orb felt like a battle against her own desires to succumb to its allure. The device was ready, but would it work? She approached the orb one last time, fear and determination intertwining within her. Holding her breath, she activated her creation, hoping it would create a rift in the pulsating energy. The orb flickered, its light dimming, but then it surged back with a fierce intensity, illuminating the whole factory as if in protest. Mira felt herself being pulled toward it, a siren call that promised power and freedom from fear, but at what cost? Summoning the last vestiges of her humanity, she shouted a plea to the orb, her voice raw with emotion. She spoke of her dreams, her memories, the laughter of her friends, the warmth of the sun on her skin. The orb shuddered, its light wavering, and for a moment, she thought she saw a flicker of understanding in its depths. Then, with a final burst of energy, it imploded into a cascade of shimmering particles that enveloped her. Mira fell to the ground, breathless and trembling. The world around her was quiet, the orb's presence gone. She looked at her hands. Her skin still shimmered, but now it felt like a part of her, not a theft of her humanity. The transformation had not reversed, but instead had woven itself into her very being. She was still Mira, still human, but now she carried a piece of the cosmos within her. The factory stood silent, a monument to her struggle, as she stepped into the light, a new chapter awaiting her, one where she would navigate this new path as both human and something beyond.